Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time. As you can find us syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also find them on their website, abundanttv.com. Also, the podcast, you can find them on podcasters.com. And we definitely appreciate all of your emails you send out there to us as well. And I read every one of them. I promise I do. Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. You always come up with topics, and you want to talk with our political candidates, all over the country. And we're glad to do that for you as well. You can still find us also on facebook.com/DFiesel. X, Twitter, I still call it Twitter. So X and all of the social media sites, you can always find us. My very good friend Terri LaPoint is with us right now. She's an author and a speaker, and something I've been wanting her to do for a long time. She's running for U.S. Congress, and we're so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Well, I can't think of anybody who would be more qualified than you. You've been fighting for kids for how many years, and have written a book about it. Let's talk about the book.
Okay, so for how many years? Long before I even knew about medical kidnapping, which was what I started reporting about in 2014. But I've been fighting for moms and families, and I actually was involved with the breastfeeding bill in Alabama.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, at one point there was nothing protecting mothers' rights to breastfeed their babies. So there's a law now in Alabama that passed. I'll have to look up when that was. It's a long time ago, in the early 2000s, that passed that said that women have the right to breastfeed their baby wherever the mother has a right to be. And I was very involved in working on getting that bill passed. So I've been fighting for families for a long time in some form or another, most
families
of my adult
kids.
life. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
So I know you've got a comfortable life, very happy family life, those things, but why in the world are you running for U.S. Congress?
Because I realize that it is the federal funding that impacts so much of what we do on the state level, and that it impacts our lives. There are things when every state is struggling with the same thing, it's the federal funding that impacts
and how it's allocated.
And how it's allocated. So I remember Kenneth Pascal years ago, long before he was a legislator. Now he's the state House of Representatives in Shelby County area. But Kenneth Pascal told me, he said, Terri, if you'll watch the federal funding, it's every time they change the federal funding, the states change the laws to match that to maximize the funding.
Yeah.
And I thought, you mean they don't just pass laws to do what's right and protect the people? See how naive I was.
I used to be that naive.
I was at one time, but I started.
Well, you just expect it to be done right.
Right. And I promise you, if you elect me, I will do things the right way. I will fight for what is right. Even if nobody else wants to get out there and stick their neck out, I'll be glad to do it. I've kind of done it my whole. That's what I do.
Speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk about the book you wrote, and it's on the bestsellers list as well. You can find it on Amazon.com and in several different areas. So is it on a website as well?
Yes, realnewsspark.com, and you go there, and it's kind of the top post because I haven't been posting news in a long time, in quite a while.
And we're going to talk about that too. She used to be in the media.
So, can you see there? Voices that will not be silenced. And so before I did this, I did medical kidnap accident. I became an accidental investigative journalist. I was invited to investigate stories, and I said yes because I wanted to know what was going on with Child Protective Services and threats against families, just normal families asking for a second medical opinion or something like that. So I just kind of accidentally started investigating this stuff and found out so much that I had no idea was going on. And I think most people, unless it impacts your family, you don't realize that it's actually happening. So, and even guardianship abuse with the elderly, and I learned about the trafficking of children through the foster care system. So the deeper I got, I took a step back at the very end of 2018. I stepped back and was like, okay, this is so big, we've got to do something about it. And so I started going to Washington, D.C. with advocates to educate lawmakers. Several times a year, we'd go and spend a few days and talk to lawmakers. And on one of these trips, I met this amazing lady, because a mutual friend said, hey, you've got to meet Kathy Hall. She's there. She's an angel mom in Washington, D.C. You've got to meet her. So we made some calls and got some connections. And she's the grandmother of this little baby in the book. So this baby was taken by Child Protective Services, adopted to strangers, and then the mother was killed by an illegal alien. And so the grandmother is an angel mom. That's what they call families of illegals. And so as she's fighting for her grandchild, she never got the grandbaby back. But she became friends with a senator in Arkansas who was digging into these same issues.
This lady right here.
Yes.
And I've seen this on television too. 60 Minutes episode, I think, and several other.
Yeah, 2020 and Dateline both did shows on this, documentaries. But they didn't get into the meat of what Kathy was dealing with her with, and they became really good friends, and they were digging into this. They made trips to Washington, D.C. There were hearings and congressional hearings in Arkansas. So, and I cite all of that in this book, so you can see that journey, the parts that the mainstream media never told you. Imagine that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
And
they wouldn't go over that.
Yeah. So this goes into this and what she had discovered and uncovered before she was murdered. And she was about to expose. So this continues her story and her legacy.
Well, and I appreciate you writing that book too, because this really needs to get out there. I encourage you to buy this for your women's groups or support groups or whatever, because this book right here is a must read.
Thank you.
Story.
And one of the things that I love about the book is there's the first appendix is is scriptures for people who are fighting for their families. And so what I did, I knew that I wanted to do a devotional book for families based on those scriptures. And I just was in D.C. this past week, and as I was working on the devotionals, writing them on the plane, and I finished the last word of the first draft of the last devotional. As soon as I wrote that word, my plane landed in Birmingham.
There you go, meant to be. So I wanted to ask you a question, because you go to D.C. a lot, and that's how you can make things happen. So we've had folks send emails just interested in, if they say something's just not right, how do you get a bill started?
You go talk to some legislators, find some like-minded people that can go with you. And so with Family Forward Project, it's people from all over America, people that have been impacted. So we just go, we contact legislators, we contact our own legislators, we contact people that are in the other states, and what we do is we go to their office and we say, okay, who is your person that deals with this area? Or you can call, because every congressperson has their website, and so you scroll to the bottom, it's usually at the bottom, it tells you the Washington, D.C. office number, and you can call their office and you say, well, who's your policy person, or who's your person that deals with veterans, or who's your person that deals with child welfare or health issues, whatever the issue is, and you find out who that person is, and you get their email, and you email them and say, we're going to be in D.C. at this, these dates, can we schedule an appointment? Now, you're not going to get all those appointments, but you'll get some of them. And some people are like, well, you got to meet with the legislator themselves. No, you don't. Their policy people are they're the staffers.
That's what they're paid for.
They are paid for. They look into it. They take your information, and if they think that their congressperson is going to be interested in that and might want to support that, then they can do some research. And they have meetings, daily meetings, and they tell them what they've discussed, and they can follow up. And so they can help you, and they can help you connect. Well, have you talked to this person or that person or that person? And you just follow those trails. So that's how we got our bill.
We have an alien that just walked in. Alien, do you want to come over here? Okay, this is one of your supporters right here. This is LaRue Hardinger, and she's with the Toys for Tots. LaRue, come here. She's with the Toys for Tots Foundation. And okay, I get it. She's got to hurry up and go. She's got some things that she's got to do. A huge help to the kids in this area, and I know you support all the folks who help the kids.
Oh,
as
absolutely,
well.
absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you a question too, and this is because some people have told me, well, Don, I've called and nobody's returned my call. What's wrong with the squeaky wheel hits the oil? What's wrong if you've got something that is really something it's a cause for you, if something keeps you up at night? What's wrong with repeated calls?
Nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong.
I come from your school.
and email. And one of the things is there's a core group of us that keep on going, and 3 or 4 times a year, and so they recognize us now, and in many of the offices, and so we're not going away. And I think that's it. I think that's key.
That's
And we're citizens. We're not politicians. We're not lobbyists.
Right.
We're not getting paid to go there and manipulate or smooze or bribe the congressperson. We're just
You're fighting for the people. You're fighting for what needs to be fought for, and that's what we're here for. It's our job. Okay, so first of all, we hire you, and we tell you what we want to happen, and so it's our job to make sure that it does happen.
Right. And build up relationships. You can everything in life is about relationships. Mm-hmm. So you build up those relationships. Go to your county political meetings. Go to the Republican women or meetings, or go to the area things and get to know people. Build relationships. Have someone, when I first started going, nobody knew who I was or anything, but then somebody else that they know says, oh, you've got to listen to Terri LaPoint because she knows about this, and Terri, and then I can go and I can say, oh, listen to Bailey, listen to her story of her son, and this, so I can, now they know me, so I can vouch for her, and so they're listening, and I think it really does make a difference. And pray.
I think it does too, and I want to talk more about your passion for what you do. And passion is this. That's the word that I'm thinking of with your thoughts about kids and the families and stuff. But well, I think it's a good thing, and because we have passions too, we have passionate things that we just all about, and we want to make sure. And kids is one of them. I'm telling you, not being mistreated and that kind of thing. Right. But I wanted to ask you something else, and because election time will be coming up, and a lot of folks think, well, I don't vote midterm. Who cares who the city council is? Who cares who the mayor is? Is it important to care who your city council members are?
Yes, absolutely, because the local government impacts your life and directly. So find out what their issues are. Go to these meetings. Go to right now there's a lot of mayoral elections that seem to be going on all over. So find out who they are, what they stand for, and what they're fighting for.
If you're not happy with, say, the influx of illegals coming into your town, might be a change. Time for change.
Right.
Yeah. And
don't
I
like
know one
the
that's getting hot right now.
explicit material in your library books. Pay attention to the school board elections.
We've got to research. We have to do that because that word is not going to be put out through the media whatsoever, except for me, of course. But I'm just talking about regularly, just stuff that's happening in daily life.
Right.
It's important that we research. It's important we research you.
Yes, absolutely.
And know what you're about, what your core beliefs are. So, I mean, I know you got some super core beliefs. Let's tell the folks out there what your core beliefs are.
Well, and I've got it written on my website, TerriLaPointForCongress.com, and the primary values are families, fighting for families, really fighting for families, not giving it lip service and saying, I'm Susie Politician and it's for the children.
Anytime somebody says it's for the children, always I have to ask.
You have, yes.
Is it
Go deeper.
self-serving? Is it self-serving?
Is it? Are you trying to get more children into the system to be trafficked?
Yeah,
Or is there? I mean, seriously, there are some that when they say they're for the children, that's really what they're talking about, and they need. We need
And
to
you
find
know
out.
because you're in the mix. I mean, you know. Well, so to speak, you're in the mix because you
I'm
go to
learning.
DC.
I'm learning, and I've learned a lot because I am a researcher. And you know, a funny thing, I love to read, so I'll read the bills, and I do. I read stuff.
You gotta love to read to
Yes.
read the bills because some of those bills are pages and pages.
They
of
are.
information.
They are. And it's good to have other eyes and people that are letting you know. It's like, wait a minute, this bill's coming out and this affects this and this and this, and they call and you do call if you see something. Call your legislator, let them know, hey, did you realize that this is in there? And maybe they saw it, but they didn't register that it's impacting you. That's in their district. Let them know.
Well, I wanted to bring it up. You just brought that point up. A lot of us folks who vote, we think we're insignificant. We think, well, we're just one person, and something just doesn't look right about that bill. But it's probably just me. Do you think we need to get out there? If
I
there's
think you
just
do. I do
something that needs to
think
be, something tiny little thing needs to be tweaked.
Right. I remember, I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about some big bill that passed, and she was like, "Do you realize we're giving control away, and all the Republicans are voting against this, are voting for this, and they're not seeing they're giving away some of our rights without even realizing and putting a stop
It's the
to
way
it.
it was worded, maybe.
The way, yeah. So
the content.
well, you know, let me just give you an example of something that happened with me at a Republican Women National Convention. They passed resolutions, and the Republican women from all over America are in there. They're printed in the brochure, and you get them online, and then you come together and you vote on them. Well, there was one bill that I saw, or one resolution, and I thought, okay, this is how this can go. I know the intent. I can see the intent, and it's good. But it could end up being something very, very different from what they're intending. And they said, okay, so all in favor of this? And I was like, ma'am, I'm set the microphone. I want to speak about this. And I told them about the implications of that, and they were like, oh. And that was the only resolution that didn't pass. And it was just about to go past it with nobody making a comment, and I spoke up, and everybody else realized
You're important.
Yeah.
You are very
you
important.
can be that voice. You can be that voice and be that voice. That's the way our government was intended to be, by the people, for the people, of the people.
And I like to say this to folks, okay, because my dad's a big-time Democrat, my mother was a big-time Republican. And so I've always been kind of somewhere in the middle of that, although I do lean, I'm conservative. And basically that's what I am. So I question everything. I always have. Because I would question him on things he thought, and I would question her on things she thought. And to me, both sides sometimes didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, this is back in the 60s and the 70s. It was a total different
Yeah, right.
Democrat Party back then.
Right. But there are always things we can learn from the other side if we'll stop and listen and say, where are you? I see you're opposed, or we're absolutely opposed, but why? So even like with the pro-choice, I'm absolutely 100% pro-life. I'm as pro-life as you're going to get. But I have some pro-choice friends, and they're like, but there are women who are raped, and the rapist is fighting for and getting custody of their child.
I never thought about that.
Well, exactly. That's something the pro-life side didn't think about. It's like, you know what? That is an important consideration. Don't kill the baby. The baby didn't do anything wrong. But we need to address that concern, because that's a very legitimate concern, and we need to protect.
See, you just brought something to my thought. I never thought about that.
And if we stay in our own bubble of of everybody who thinks like us, we don't hear that side that says, "Oh,
And that's
I
critical.
didn't see that." So it's important to listen. You don't change your values. You don't compromise who you are. And I do think that happens a lot in government. I'm not going to. I mean, there are core values that are absolutely immutable. Let me tell you, just when I went into the Hart building, the Senate. There's 3 Senate buildings. One of them's the Hart Building. And I went in at the entrance, which I don't usually go, and I don't usually look up. But there was something about Mr. Hart, Senator Hart. I forget his first name, but there was a little paragraph about him, and I loved what it said. It said he had uncompromising integrity. I think it was something along the
uncompromising.
It actually wasn't. It wasn't uncompromising. It was so even a stronger word that meant kind of just not compromising. His integrity was not for sale. He was, and they talked about him being pure. And I thought, I love that.
You got less you got to memorize and think about if you just stick with your values. I mean, really, I don't have to say that. I'm not a good liar.
I'm not either. I love truth. I love truth.
I do, even if it hurts, because I try to think of nice ways to say it if I possibly can.
Of course,
but
you can be diplomatic.
You can first 2 times, and then the 3rd time go at it. That's the way I look at that.
I used to tell my kids, I'm gonna try nice, but at some point we're gonna have to be serious.
We're gonna have to have a meeting of the mind, come to Jesus moments. We have those, but some of us are afraid to have come to Jesus moments to people who are in office, because sometimes we'll put them up on some kind of a pedestal, and that's they're okay. They spoke to my kid. They did this, but then something in a bill. It's important you get it. Maybe they just didn't see it. I didn't see what you just said from that angle. So sometimes we don't see things in a particular angle. It's best to get that out.
Right. Now, with the thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene was addressing, I saw later that somebody else brought up a bill, a standalone bill that has passed, I believe it's passed the House, that takes care of that issue. So
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe they did need to get this whole package passed, but then they went back immediately and addressed it. So let's do that. Maybe that's the way it works. Maybe that's what you do.
And I have to tell you something else that I've learned. There are some people you meet who just are just hard people, or you think they're hard people. And my dad was pastoring a church one time, and he had this bandit on. Oh, he was Big Bad John. And he actually had a belt buckle that said Big Bad John. One of his girls gave him. Well, he was a big protector of his girls. And he always said that if one of his girls ever was pregnant, he would disown her, without a wedlock. He said that if she's not married and she gets pregnant, I'll never speak to her again. He always said that. Well, one of his girls did get pregnant, and she wasn't married yet. She did get married. And I'm going to tell you what. When he met the baby, he changed his name. So it was gone. So that was the hardest man I've ever met in my life. And I'm going to tell you what, if his heart can melt around a child, and he speaks to the daughter, and the son-in-law came into the life, and they got married and all that. So everything's a happy family now. But you would have thought that was a lost cause. But it wasn't. It wasn't.
And on that line, though, a baby is always a blessing.
I think so too. And I'll have to tell you something else. There's a woman I think is a total hero, and a lot of folks will slam a woman who gives her baby up for adoption. There can be reasons that she does that. There can be so many reasons. But if you had the baby and you gave that baby up for adoption, and you just saw no way on God's green earth you could make it happen, you're a hero to me, because you let that life happen.
I do think people are pushed into it that really could parent had they had the
organizations.
Support. There are some that you have some support. So because I still look at it really looking. Before I became a writer and all that, I studied a lot about parent and child psychology and newborn physiology and psychology, and babies need their biological mom and dad. Every baby needs that. Not every baby gets it, but and there are situations where that's not possible. But that is the need of every.
But if you're the
child.
life giver and you gave that life, you're a hero. Well, look at it. Absolutely. Let's go into a commercial break, and we're going to return in just a few minutes. I'm going to talk to you about small businesses, because we're in one right now. Bobby Ledbetter with Twin City Used Car Sales in Gadsden, Alabama, made it happen through COVID life. That was kind of a tough time for a bunch of us. And he and I supported each other all the time throughout that whole thing. But we'll be back in just a few minutes. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At LaPoint Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at LaPoint's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with LaPoint's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Because of your overwhelming support, our 1488 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing, including my classic standard MyPillows, only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain-fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, as we get to ride home with each other. And that's 2 o'clock on the Eastern Time Zone. You know, we live in the Carolinas, and loving it out there. Thank you guys in Abbeville for being so supportive of what we do, and Anderson and all the Greenwood, Greenville, all those areas have been very supportive. We definitely appreciate that. We also have a lot of support still in Alabama, and definitely appreciate that as well. I have my friend Terri LaPoint with me right now, running for U.S. Congress. And so glad to have you back on the show again.
Thank you so much.
I drag you in here every single chance I get. So now we've been talking about your core values and your core beliefs, and that's important that we know that about a candidate. And it's just extremely important. So I want to give the floor. Wait a minute, before we do that, I want to mention small business owner.
Yes.
And that is Bobby Ledbetter with Twin City Used Car Sales. And I make a point to be here once a month to come see Bobby. And this guy, so supportive of my business and other small businesses, but also supportive of you when COVID hit. I mean, thousands of people were fed, and out of his own pocket, by the way.
Wow.
And you know what? He decided to take some time off, thought he was going to be through, wanted to retire. I didn't think that'd last long. He's got it in his blood. So anyway, he came back in, started business up about 2 years ago back here in Gadsden, Alabama. So wherever you are at, you need to check him out. Go to his website, BobbyLedbetter.com, BobbyLedbetter.com. You'll be glad you did. This will be getting all of our vehicles. As a matter of fact, this is his integrity. This is how serious Bobby is about his customers. I told him once, I said, we live on a farm, I'd like to have a pink tractor. I was joking. So then the next time I saw him, he said, Miss Donna, I've been looking everywhere for a pink tractor. And I'm afraid if we paint one, it's not going to be exactly and I wanted to use, I thought I wanted to use one. And I said, Bobby, I'm kidding. Phil is the one who's going to be driving the tractor. Do you think Phil would want a pink tractor? So anyway, that's how serious he is in taking care of his customers. Absolutely. So that's the kind of guy you want to buy your automobile from. Absolutely. BobbyLedbetter.com. Okay, Terri, now let's talk about small businesses.
Okay.
Because, you know, sometimes the small businesses felt just a little bit left out. You know, when COVID hit, you know, like Susie's dress shop, see, she couldn't sell dresses. She got shut down, but Walmart
Because they weren't
sell
essential.
clothes.
And we had government making decisions on who succeeded and who didn't, winners and losers, and that's not the way our government.
Because their business is essential too. You know, they got to put food, they got to pay employees, they got to do all these things too. So, how would you like to see the way government treats, in some cases, small businesses? How would you like to see that be different?
We have to make allowances for them. We have to support small businesses. I want to hear the suggestions. I really do. I want to hear the suggestions, regulations. We need to look at the regulations. Do they really make sense, or are they feeding somebody's agenda out in California that's, you know, maybe a communist? Is it supporting? You know, we have communist regulations that come into into America and into our federal government that impact, you know, somebody on Main Street. That's crazy. You know, so regulations. We need to look at taxes, and sometimes it's crazy that the loopholes are for the biggest companies, and then the little guys get left out in the cold, and they're bearing the lion's share. And you know that's. There's a lot that can be done and should be done.
Absolutely. Okay, now, core beliefs. I keep getting you off topic. I keep thinking, and it's important we know this.
Okay. So, medical freedom, which came up with it. With COVID, that brought that into sharp focus. That I just talked to some gentleman the other day at a phone company, doing the phones, getting some new phones, and they were compelled by their business to get the shot or not, or lose their job. And then a month later, they said, "Oh well, you don't have to get the shot," and they're like, "We didn't want it." They didn't want it. They wanted more studies. They didn't want to take some experiment on something. Yeah. So whether you want it or not, that should be your choice. That
I thought he was going with me.
medical freedom, the freedom of parents to make medical decisions for their children, get a second medical opinion. whether you
Okay,
have.
let me ask you this. What are your thoughts about a kid? And I'm saying a kid. Okay, they're a little confused about the gender. Maybe they
Okay.
think I'm a boy, I want to be a girl, or I'm a girl, I want to be a boy, those kind of... Should that be a decision made by a child?
I don't think so.
Because there was a time I wanted to be a cowgirl, I wanted to be an astronaut, I mean, there were so many different things I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted to be yet.
One of my kids wanted to be a hobbit. Every time she got her feet were bare, and there was a pen or a marker, she drew hair on her feet. You know, by today's logic, I guess I should have
been.
taken her to get hair transplants on her feet so she could be like a hobbit. That's absurd.
That's to me, it sounds like parents feeding that information, because I never for once, I was a tomboy growing up, for goodness sakes. It was a neighborhood full of boys, there were no girls. Well, of course I was a tomboy. I played football, I played baseball with all the boys and all that kind of stuff. Now, they protected me. I was like their sister. A little bit too much protection sometimes. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I never thought once about being a boy.
Well, and there are boys who have empathy, who are more compassionate, who grow up with sisters and want to try on their sister's tutu or something that's, she's in ballet and he's imitating Big Sister. That doesn't mean that they want to be a girl, or maybe they pretend. But then, how many did you ever have a kid or a niece or nephew that just went through his time of wanting to be a dinosaur or wanting to be a dog, or
I wanted to be Minnie Mouse one time. That doesn't
now you
mean
look
that
really
I had
cute
surgery.
with these ears coming out. Did you consider that surgery?
No.
No, of course not.
I did not.
Of course not.
I knew it was pretend time. It was play
I
time.
said give me like 66. We're ready.
Yeah, my oldest daughter really wanted to be a mermaid. I mean, we could have, had surgery and, fused her legs together. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But, I told my kids, nothing permanent until you're 18. Tattoos, double piercing, the ears, nose piercing, eyebrow piercing.
I'm really glad
whatever
now with the sagging skin I have now that I didn't get a tattoo. The rose would be sagging. You know what I mean? There are things that have to be thought out.
Well, right, and then once they are of age, then they're responsible for their choice, but then they have a lot more of the ability to make that choice when they're grown.
Why is there such a huge fight for kids to be able to do that now? That makes no sense
We
whatsoever.
talked about federal funding enabling things. Did you know that the Biden administration had special funding for the LGBT community to foster and adopt? States got more money if they did that, paid for the transgender surgeries. There was federal funding incentivizing all these things. It was through so many different avenues, through the education and all of this. It was pushing that agenda. So federal funding.
You just made the point. Pushing the agenda.
Pushing.
Okay,
Pushing.
if I have
Yes.
that thought, shouldn't I have some time to think about that? Do I need to be pushed into that?
No. And there are people that are pushed. I know of a foster child who was being adopted by a couple that wanted a girl. He was a boy. He had no desire to be anything but a boy, but they did the transgender surgery on him. He no longer has boy parts. He's a boy, little boy. He's 11 now, and this happened like 3 years ago. That's insane. Because they wanted a girl, they pushed their agenda on him.
They're going to have a life full of bad decisions this poor little fella's going to have.
Yeah, it's sad. We can respect adults that feel different or think differently than us. We can do that, but adults are making their own decisions that don't push it on our kids. That whole "don't mess with our kids" movement. Her voice, the million parent or the million women event in Washington D.C. It's like, the women woke up and said, "Look, not our kids. You can't do this to our kids. You can't." And that's where Moms for Liberty came from. Yeah, they're passionate. They would have not said a word had you left their kids out of the discussion. But when they're pushing it on their kids, that's when everything changes.
Well, and there are there are other ways too, because I remember my son, this was back in the 1990s, and he was in, I think, the 9th grade, 8th grade, something, I don't remember what grade he was in. But he comes in from school one day and he said, Mom, I've got a calculator. I think I've shared this story with you before. And I said, because I represented a school in math. I was always really good in math.
I love math.
But now
That
back
was
in
kinda strange, though.
1970s, Dr. Runyon was my math teacher. And he said, if I catch any of you with a calculator, Radio Shack, well, you're too young for that, but Radio Shack had these Texas Instruments. They were like the most amazing calculators. I never got one, so my dad said, no, you're not getting one, you're thinking with your head. So what happened was, as Brad goes to school, my teacher, Dr. Runyon, said he would expel anyone who had a calculator in school because you're not using your head.
Right.
So that's how I was raised.
That was
I was raised in that era.
We were not allowed to use a calculator.
Couldn't do that. Well, so my son comes in from school and he said he has to have a calculator. And I'm going, he just wants a calculator. And I said, okay, I'm going to call your teacher. Well, he just kept standing there, and I thought, she must really wanted to have a calculator. So I called her, and I said, Brad tells me he has to have a calculator. And she said, he does for math class. And I said, no, that's cheating. And she wanted to know why I thought it was cheating. I said, they're not using their brain. I said, when I went, of course, I was made to feel like an old somebody. And so back in my day, you could get expelled from school for having a calculator. We were taught to use our heads for math. And so I would like to see that brought back, where kids are not dependent on, what if something happened? What if, we've already seen kids at the drive-thrus.
Well, I was out of town when my daughter's phone messed up, and her dad, and somehow it was kind of tied to my phone. She had to go for 4 days without a phone.
That was
horror. it was, bless her heart, because there's so much of our lives that are on these devices. So, but then it gives her the opportunity to have the workaround. She got a lot of writing done.
I bet she did.
She really did, without the distractions.
Well, and that's the whole key point to the whole thing is letting kids be kids as well, because they're not. Okay, back to your core points. I keep getting
Okay,
off.
medical freedom. Oh, yeah, Fauci, we need to hold him. He needs to be investigated. He needs to be held accountable. And I'm just going to end. I'll just leave it at that.
That's part of that.
That's absolutely medical freedom.
And we agree.
And that brings us into government accountability. If government is by the people, for the people, of the people, then it needs to be accountable and answerable to the people. We don't need to have this thing where these agencies there is no recourse. That's against the Constitution. We're supposed to have a method of redressing our grievances to the government. So we've got to have that, and there's been precious little over the several years. And Doge, thank God for Doge.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank God for
What a
Doge.
wonderful
We need
thing.
it on the state level. We don't need to end it on the federal level. Can I tell you about something we just discovered as far as accountability that just happened? While I was in D.C. last week, one of the Family Forward people found, several of them, a group in Connecticut, found out there had just been an audit of Child Protective Services and the missing children.
Oh.
Connecticut just did an audit. It's the first audit of its kind. It was a third-party audit, like where are the missing children, So Connecticut had 3,500 missing children. 2,500 of those were not properly reported. Some of those were never reported missing. These are children in the foster care system, missing American kids. We're not talking about the kids at the border. And this
Just
is
like that, they're done.
Well, some of them are, missing for a couple of days and they come back or whatever's there. But the federal government through Title 4E is still paying the funds to the states. And if they don't report the child missing, they keep on getting the funds indefinitely. So then the federal government sometimes figures out occasionally, we're paying for a kid that's been dead for 2 years, so we need that money back. They call it a clawback. So they claw back that money, they got, but some of these kids that were still missing, they got the federal funds back. So now the foster parent hasn't reported the child missing. The social worker didn't report the child missing. Whoever's doing the funding and all, they're not reporting that. The federal government person is not reporting it. That's a crime.
That should be a
state and federal. It is a crime.
Okay, so if I don't, let's say Donna Fiesel, okay, 7428155, that's my federal ID number. I don't pay my taxes. I get interest and penalties tagged on top of all of that. Okay, why can't that approach be made to people who know good and well? The kids are not even there, but they're still collecting the money. Why can't there be interest and penalties put on?
There should be. That's a very good question. I don't think there is. I think they just have to give the money back. But if a parent doesn't report a child missing within 24 hours, there are people in prison for failing to report their own child missing. Okay, there are people in prison today all across America for not doing it in a timely manner. However, if the government does it, the state agency that's getting paid for that, there's been no consequences at all. So we need these kinds of audits in every state. And then the IOG, the Office of the Inspector General, did an investigation and reported in 2023, and they found out, they just kind of did a random sampling and found out that 2/3 of missing kids were not reported in a timely manner. Half of them were never reported missing.
Okay, this brings another question, and this is about, we have county agencies who have every county, I'm assuming, in the whole United States. Are they not connecting with the people that are above them? Are they not connecting statewide, and then maybe on a national type?
They're supposed
situation?
to be reported to NCMEC. I mean, that's state and federal law, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So that's required.
It makes you wonder. I would think we need to do an audit of the people who are holding these positions.
I think so too.
Kind of common sense.
It's something I thought it was, when the federal government has these big, huge blocks of money that are going to the states, there needs to be built in somehow to the funding for that. Say you're sending $3 million to a state for something. Part of that needs to be funding for a person to oversee that and make sure the money's going where it's and being used for what it's supposed to be.
I've worked with companies that way. Okay, management. Okay, I had to know every dime that went out. If a penny was off, I had the person who held that department would lock me into, and I would go, for 10 cents, here's the 10 cents. And they'd say, no, I got to know where it went. And one time, I actually somehow got over that. I mean, like, I didn't know the 10 cents. And they still went nuts over it. And I said, you can have it. I don't need the 10 cents. It had to be accounted. There had to be a complete accounting.
Yet we're losing children. And
that's much more than
these
10
children,
cents.
some of these are ending up in trafficking. And there's evidence. We know that they're ending up in trafficking.
Is that what they're trying to do? It makes me wonder.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? We suspect that could be part of it. But it's so easy to fix. It is so easy to fix. We can go in there with the laws dealing with the child protective services and all of that. We can say the funding is, instead of per child, make it per capita. So X amount of kids, you get X amount of dollars. For every so many kids that live in your district, not that you take, but that live in your district, in this area, you get X amount of dollars. Then you can do the right thing. There's no incentive to not report because you're not going to be losing your money. There's no incentive to snatch kids that you shouldn't be taking. And you can help the kids who are truly being abused, because we know that that's happening. We know that there are kids in real trouble and they're being ignored.
You know, that makes perfect sense. There was I can't remember what his name is. He's never really into wrestling that much, but there was a wrestler who was running for office, I don't know, governor or something. And he actually had that idea about illegals coming in. He said, I have an idea. We pay them for everyone that's brought back we pay them, they get, whatever amount of dollars, and then anybody that comes through and they're on your little section right there, we're going to deduct that. He said,
you
"I
get the
promise that would
behavior
take
that you
care of it."
incentivize. I mean, it's really simple. So we need to incentivize the right things. So that's a government accountability.
All right, now we're running out of time. We've got a little bit over almost 4 minutes left.
Oh,
in this
okay.
segment. I know you got to get to your.
Well, I'm just military and the veterans. My goodness, we've got to make sure that we give our military the tools they need to win decisively. Iran is a good example. It's like we go in and we do it and we win decisively.
We're done.
And we need to give them the effective tools. And when our men and women, when we send our kids out there, we need to make sure that we take care of them. We don't need to have them come. I had a man come up to me at one of these events who said, I've given them all my paperwork to get my disability twice, and they've lost it.
I've heard that over and over again.
That's insane.
And
we owe them. We are
set.
responsible to take care of them. They put everything on the line for us. We as Americans should be taking care of them.
And the whole thing doesn't seem fair because I know Phil's dad was in World War II, and so he lost a leg, and he didn't get as much of a pension check as somebody who could actually walk around who lost no limbs. And I was kind of thought, shouldn't he get more?
Right?
So there was something wrong about that, and this was back, 30 years ago. But even then, it didn't seem right.
Wow.
It should seem as if you've lost a limb that you would be more incentivized than someone who didn't.
Right.
Not taking anything away from anybody, because anybody who is serving us, I mean, my hat's off to you forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm just saying some are more severe than others.
We need to make sure that they are provided for properly. Absolutely.
They always have to have a job too.
Yeah.
And that just didn't seem right to me. Just felt wrong.
We have to. It's our responsibility.
A minute and a half left in this segment. What do you want to make, and how can folks contribute?
Okay. Oh, yes. This is a grassroots campaign, and so we need grassroots contributions. You can go to the website, LaPoint4Congress.com, and there's a donate page there. There's you can go. I'm on Facebook, Terri LaPoint for Congress, and you can contact me. My email is Terri LaPoint, and you see it spelled no E on the end. Terri LaPoint at protonmail.com. You can get in touch with me and let's do an event. Let's do some fundraisers. Let's do some speaking. You want to do a town hall and you're in District 3, then contact me. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Could use some volunteers.
Absolutely. The Freedom Force. I call them the LaPoint Freedom Force. If you want to fight for common sense, American values, let's do it. Come join us and let's do this thing, and let's give the people a voice in District 3.
Absolutely. Terri, thank you again so much for being on the show. I know you're busy and lots of stuff going on right now.
Too busy for you.
And I keep up with her all the time on her Facebook page. You're always fighting for something for us without being elected. So can you imagine what she would be like if she won the election? Wow. There'd be no stopping you, girl.
I think that would definitely help. And it's like I don't want to serve because I need another job. I mean,
you got a lot to do.
I do. I want to serve because I want to help do the right thing and provide real leadership for common sense American values, the Trump values, the Trump policies. We've got to not just have the executive orders. We've got to have those made into laws, because the next time we get another Joe Biden in or Obama in, they're going to undo all the executive orders. So we need to have the laws in place.
It's called support. Okay, it's called support for each other. But again, Terri, thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching. I know you could be doing anything else, but you're watching us right now. We definitely appreciate that. Get that word out. Share this show, okay, so we can get that word out as well.
Yes,
see you next time around. Bye-bye.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring. But the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.